Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Muirhead, Managing Director and Editor at Feedstuffs. Welcome to this Feedstuffs Fast Chat. Today, we're talking with Ben Allen, CEO of Sentry. Ben, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
Let's jump right into what we're here to discuss, and that's the connection between out-of-feed events and feed conversion ratios. So, Ben, talk to us about why feed conversion ratio, why it's such a critical metric for both poultry and swine producers.
When you're raising animals, anywhere from 60 to 70% of your cost of goods sold, or your COGS, is feeding them. It's by far the most expensive part of raising an animal. And because of that, the feed conversion ratio, or FCR metric in the animal industry, is a primary metric for profitability. You want to know how much feed it takes to raise the protein that you're raising. And because of the cost profile of the feed in the animals, FCR is one of the primary indicators of profitability.
So how exactly then does feed inventory management impact FCR?
Well, we've learned with our customers, once our data set crossed over 10,000 bins monitored daily, that there is a large category of out-of-feed events that goes completely unmonitored in the industry. The industry knows about when they run out of feed at the barns because somebody made a mistake or wires got crossed somewhere, and there might be some heated phone calls to deal with those issues. So we determined with our customers there's another category of out-of-feed events that has to do with making mistakes with the slides of the tandem bins at the barns. The workers don't know when one bin goes empty because there's no lights, there's no alarms, there's no buzzers. They don't know to instantly go over and open the other bin. And those slide outages are 4.4 times more prevalent than running out of feed entirely at a barn. So if you know of 100 outages in your business, there's probably 400 to 450 totally going on. It's a really big deal.
You talk about slide management. So that management of that really enhances the FCR, it sounds like.
That's right. I mean, the pigs or the chickens don't care why they're not getting fed. If you've done all the hard work to get feed to the barns and put it in the bins, but then don't get it into the barns or into the troughs, that's the same problem as running out of feed entirely. The animals aren't eating. They don't care why. And we've got to work on that. So when you don't open a feed bin slide at the appropriate time, you create an outage, even though there's feed on site.
Now, you folks just did an extensive study with Hanor, which is one of the largest pork producers here in North America, and you looked at measuring that impact of that slide management on FCR. Talk to us about that study and some of the things that you found.
So with Hanor, we did a 15-month study, well over 200,000 head of hogs and in 195 groups. So we wanted to go big. We wanted to see a data set that was at scale for production. And when we did that, we realized that the slide outages, the mistakes being made at the barn sites by the operators that can't tell, when one bin goes empty and the other needs to be turned on, accounted for up to 7 points of FCR. Now, that's a really big number. Generally, we're spending money with our genetics and our nutritionists, and we're trying to train to make sure that we are trying to move a point or two in FCR. 7 points? It's a really big deal. It's a step function change for profitability.
So, Ben, how exactly does Sentry technology improve slide management and enhance FCR?
Well, to start with, Sentry technology can recognize when there are outages. Whether you've run out of feed at the barn or you've got a slide that hasn't been opened and no consumption is taking place for multiple hours, we can set notifications. Our artificial intelligence in the software will define the problem, it'll name it, and then we can actually notify the worker or the farmer that's associated with that asset to say, hey, look, you've got an issue. Somebody needs to go check on that as quickly as possible. And those notifications can be customized. So some of our people want to be notified at 4 hours, others at 8 or 12. That's up to the operators and how their assets are set up. But in any case, not only do we find the problem, but we help them recognize there's one going on in real time. And that shortens the time to solving the problem. We don't want those animals not eating. And so we want to shorten that time to issue resolution.
Are those notifications, they go out via phone, via computer? How are you sending those out?
Yeah, it's a great question. We can do a couple of different things. So in the past, it was always 100% email, which which had its own issues, quite frankly, because the guys out at the barn, they don't have email open. They're not checking. And so we've worked with our biggest customers to develop text messages. Now, that's not through an app. It's just a simple text. With all the labor issues we've got at the barn sites and the turnover we see, it's harder than ever to train and have workers trained up, especially on technology. So we just text their phone. They don't need an app. They don't need to be trained. They just have to be able to read, and they can see, hey, there's a notification about an asset that needs attention right now.
Very good. Well, that's all we have time for here today. Thank you so much for joining us, Ben, and providing us with all of this insight. We appreciate all of you tuning in to the Speed Stuff's Fast Chat.
Thank you so much, Sarah.